Voting is a civic duty. Let's register on the electoral list. This is a message from Equinoxe Television.
Hello there. Thank you so much for joining us on this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television. First, our major stories. 3 years after allegedly killing her husband, Christelle Kemno returns to the crime scene in Bafou in the Menwa Division West region of Cameroon. After confessing and equally regretting her actions, she was attacked by the angry villagers who threatened to lynch her. She, however, survived thanks to the intervention of law enforcement officers. Why did she kill her own husband? Find out in this edition of the news. And also we'll talk something else, as Cameroonian writer Jali Amadou Amal has penned down a letter to the head of state calling for the Minister of Justice to intervene in the case of Diane Yango, a teacher brutally killed by her own husband. Amal urges the Wuri High Court to reconsider its April verdict, expressing outrage over the court's decision. Those are top stories. The news in full in a jiffy. Thank you so much for choosing Equinoxe Television for presentation. I am Immaculate Fogwe. A woman who assassinated her husband some 3 years ago has been arrested by security forces in Bafou village. Christelle, who disappeared after killing her husband, was caught in the village as she came for an event. Christelle, who is now awaiting trial, has asked the family of her husband to pardon her wrong deeds. Smagic and Gabriel reports.
An angry crowd set to throw their vengeance on this lady who was accused to have murdered her husband 3 years ago, precisely on August 22, 2022 in Chouwan, a village found in the Bafou chiefdom in the Menwa division. During a fight with the late husband, she decided to assassinate him with the help of a machete. Missing after the incident, she resurfaced last March during an event in the village. The natives, who haven't forgotten about her deed, tried to take away her life as she did with her husband, but the rapid intervention of the elements of the Gendarmerie Brigade of Kounyi helped the lady. I descended to the scene of the incident with my collaborators, and we managed to whisk away the lady from the hands of the angry crowd to the brigade. Taken to the same house where she spent a majority of her life with her late husband, Christelle showed security officers and onlookers how she killed her husband and claimed she committed the act under the influence of alcohol. That day, I found myself butchering my husband under the control of alcohol, and he too was drunk that day. I also took away his goat. According to Christelle, since she murdered her husband, she hasn't been herself and begs for pardon. I really regret my act because I have never done that before and never thought I could take away the life of a human being. Till date, my conscience haven't stopped judging me. I plead on the family of my late husband to forgive me. Christelle has been put under awaiting trial at the central prison in Bafoussam while waiting for the official start of the case put against her.
Cameroonian writer Jali Amadou Amal has penned a letter to the head of state urging the Minister of Justice to instruct the Wuri High Court to reconsider its April 1st verdict in the case of Diane Yango, a woman who was brutally beaten and killed by her husband, Bekove Vondo Eric. Amal expresses outrage over the court's perceived trivialization of the value of a woman's life, citing a meager compensation of 52,000 francs CFA, as Innocent Aze tells us.
In the two-page letter addressed to the Minister of State, Minister of Justice and Keeper of the Seals, Laurent Eso, renowned Cameroonian writer Jaili Amadou Amal expresses indignation over the highly criticized judgment on April 1 by Magistrate Medo Dani of the Wori High Court on the Zanyangwa affair. According to the writer, sentencing Bekobe Vondo Eric with 5 years imprisonment to be spent outside the prison and payment of an infringement of 52,000 francs CFA in a case he was found guilty for murder of his wife, Zan Yango, only instigates revenge not only from women but humanity in general. As concerns the fine of 52,000 francs CFA, Jaili Amadou Amal projects her eyeballs and understands from it that the life of a woman, a kid woman at that, is not even equivalent to a dowry of 100,000 francs CFA. She tells the Minister of State, Minister of Justice and Keeper of the Seals, it is such a regrettable thing that the dignity of a woman, her rights and rights to live are trampled upon as trash, and the worst of it by another woman, referring to the magistrate, admitting she is not a professional in human rights but a good writer. This alone permits her to punctuate on the confidence, revelations and reserves of the victims and those who followed the court case and judgment that arouses disorder. Jaili Amadou Amal thus exhorts the Minister of Justice to revise the verdict passed by the Wori High Court and order for the right judgment to be passed for Jan Yango. By so doing, women and girls will be confident of obtaining true justice if they find themselves in a similar situation. They will also feel accompanied and protected by their country's justice system.
Now we talk something else. Road construction works on the Yaoundé-Douala highway is still ongoing for close to 10 years. After it was launched, the slow pace of work in Gokmakumbi, that is in the Nyankele division of the Central region, is being blamed on local residents who are largely demanding compensation for the destruction of their plantations during the initial phase of that work. Malaglari reports.
The local population of Ngokmapubi in the Central region are demanding compensation before the phase 2 of the Yaoundé-Douala highway construction project begins.
Lorsque Monsieur le ministre était pour le lancement des travaux, il a dit,
when the minister was here to launch the construction project, he said works will only start after we have received compensation. But we were surprised to see tractors working here to the extent we had to stop them.
Nous avons décidé de stopper ces travaux jusqu'à ce que nous soyons indemnes.
These residents claim to have already suffered the consequences of the first phase without reparations, despite numerous promises made by administrative authorities.
During
the first phase in 2013, when many plantations were destroyed, the promised reparations, but till date nothing has been said. Furthermore, they questioned the use of a new monitoring commission sent to the site, accompanied by law enforcement officers.
On nous parle d'une commission de contrôle.
They now tell us that fake people infiltrated the control commission that was sent and made away with part of the money.
Non pas de bien, mais je veux vous rassurer que ça c'est faux. Cette commission est toujours en train de travailler et cette commission ne va rien trouver. Nous, ce n'est qu'une perte de temps.
Aside opposing the highway construction project, the people demand justice for the destruction of their properties.
Nous ne sommes pas contre de cette route.
We are not against this development, but we are tired of fake promises.
Les paiements.
Nous voulons.
We call the attention of the head of state on this matter, that all we need is compensation for our properties and works can continue.
Le travail continue.
According to the local inhabitants, last October, the Minister of Public Works promised to review the case with all the different parties involved in order to facilitate payments and proper execution of works. A promise yet to be realized.
Malaglari reporting there. Family members, friends and fans of the music industry gathered at the Douala Lakantini Hospital today to pay their last respect to renowned Makossa artist Monica. His passing has left a void in the hearts of those who knew him and admired his work. Seri Chakutio reports.
The Cameroonian industry laments the departure of one of theirs. Family members, fans and public personalities joined at the La Quintini Hospital to say last homage to Makossa artist Monieka, who died on the 14th of February 2025.
Ça fait très mal que je puisse perdre.
It hurts a lot. I'm not feeling fine. I lost a child that my brother left me. Because between Moni and me, he was an adorable son.
Papa, je vais aller t'enterrer dans le village, et puis je vais.
Who always told me, Dad, I'm going to bury you in the village. What can I do now? I feel very sad.
Rester comme un tronc d'arbre qui a perdu toutes ses feuilles.
Monieka, nicknamed the top of the class by Petit Pays, was a key figure in Cameroonian music. With his unique style and captivating voice, he helped shape the musical identity of the group Sans Visa. This loss is already being felt as a huge void in the music industry.
Choqué. Donc c'est vrai qu'on fait avec, on se dit que.
Shocked, it's true. We cope. We tell ourselves that it's everyone's way, but he was much more than a colleague to me.
C'est un aîné.
C'est encore plus touchant parce que.
It's even more touching because he died very young, but he was still young. Even in mind and spirit, he still had a lot to offer to this world. Tributes are pouring in from all sides. Some artists keep of him a respectful artist and individual. It's a pain, we can't measure it. We started a fight, it was quite painful together. I don't know how I will do it alone. We often say in Africa that the dead are not dead. I hope he'll be with me wherever he is. It's true that it's quite difficult to say goodbye to him like this, but we have to, because it's a passage for all of us. To be able to pay our respects and not acknowledge he has passed away. Fans of the group Les Sans Visa and Monieka remember him as a passionate, generous artist who was always ready to share his love for music. Makossa artist Monieka leaves behind him 3 children and a wife.
Now we take you out of the country where campaigns conclude today as Gabonese will be heading to the polls soon to choose who is going to head them for the next 7 years. We have the main contender in this, which is General Brice Oligui Nguema. We also have the former Prime Minister Alain Claude Biret, and the election comes after a military coup that ousted the Bongo's rule. We have greater details with Annabella.
Gabon is set to hold its presidential election this Saturday, April 12, 2025, marking a significant turning point in the country's history. The Gabonese presidential election is first since the 2023 bloodless military coup d'etat led by General Oligui Nguema, now one of the presidential candidates. Front-runner Oligui Nguema served the both Bongo father and son by now emphasizing his role in leading the coup that ousted the Bongo regime. He is making the fight against corruption, money laundering and embezzlement a central part of the country's transition to democracy, including arresting the ex-president's wife and eldest son and accusing them of illegally enriching themselves, which they deny. On the campaign trail, Oligui Nguema boasts of roads, hospitals and schools being built under his tenure, promising further projects if elected as president. However, one of Olingui's main challengers is Alain Claude Biret, 57 years old. He was General Olingui's primary opponent and has been prime minister in both Omar and Ali Bongo regime. Biret is against the reign of the PDG party, which he claims can perpetuate the legacy of the Bongo regime, which has been in power for over 55 years. Meanwhile, the lone female independent candidate is Zenaba Ninga Shaning, 36 years old. She is an entrepreneur and did her studies in France. As Gabonese go to their polls on April 12 to choose among the 8 presidential aspirants, they hope to make the best choice on who is going to lead the country for the next 7 years.
Annabella, ending this first part of the news. Talking Point is up next. Lawmakers beg President Donald Trump to block the deportation of 15,700 Cameroonians They have gone on an offensive to get President Donald Trump to extend the country's temporary protected status scheme for thousands of Cameroonians who seek deportation after June 7th this year. To them, Cameroon is still unfavorable for the concerned to return. In the letter, they argued that not much has changed across the restive Northwest and Southwest regions. And to answer my question, we'll be receiving Dr. Barrister LIMEN, a human rights defender. Good evening, Doctor. It's a pleasure to have you on Talking Point tonight. What are the chances of deportation for Cameroonians with a temporary protected status expiring after June 7th?
It's always a pleasure. It's always a pleasure talking to you. Yeah, the plea from the congressmen in the U.S. is very timely and very important, especially when we consider that the situation in Cameroon is still very turbulent. You know, we don't still have sufficient peace in Cameroon, especially in the northwest and southwest region, which from time to time we have sporadic killings and upheavals of shootings and looting. You know, I think it is a decision well thought of by the congressmen, and the President Donald Trump is within his ambit of his power to request, mindful of his agenda when he was taking over power. He made it very clear that he was going to reduce the number of illegal immigrants or asylum seekers in the United States. So I think that the situation in Cameroon, one, the fact that we still don't have durable peace in Cameroon, and secondly, we know that the government can be extremely hostile to some of these people when they come back come back into the country. I think that it is very, very timely and appropriate for President Trump to reconsider the state of Cameroonians who are temporarily protected in the United States of America.
Dr. Barrister LIMEN, do you see any possibility of TPS being renewed or extended, and what are the criteria being taken into consideration?
Yes, the President Donald Trump has the powers. You understand, he has the powers as a president. He's being empowered by Article 2 of the Constitution. That gives him that gives him powers to rule his country, especially when it comes to executive orders. So I think that there is a possibility. That's why the congressmen are requesting and praying that he reconsider the deportation of Cameroonians in the United States of America.
As someone who is up to date with what's happening in the Northwest and Southwest regions, I guess you're watching the news. What are the human rights concerns for Cameroonians deported back to their country, particularly in the restive Northwest and Southwest regions, where we all know has been very hot for the past years now? Now, can lawyers challenge the deportation decision or seek relief under the current immigration laws? Is there a possibility for that? Dr. Barrister LIMEN, who I'm asking, can lawyers challenge deportation decisions or seek relief under the current immigration laws? Is there a possibility for that? Unfortunately, we won't be able to have our guest for tonight due to some technical issues from our technical crew. And that's what put an end to today's edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your keen attention. See you on Monday, God willing. Have a wonderful day and have a lovely weekend. Bye-bye for now.
Equinoxe Télévision, au-delà de l'image, nous rendons compte. De lundi à vendredi sur Equinoxe Télévision.
La deuxième conférence semestrielle des gouverneurs qui